Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to CrossFit Central 101. My name is Chris, and today joining me we have,
Keelan.
and we're going to be watching, so actually not watching today, we're going to be discussing, a little bit of a change of pace here, the other teams other than the Lions in the 2021 NFL Draft. So obviously I'm a Lions fan, and we've been spending a lot of time on the Lions draft class and breaking down the guys that we've taken and all of our draft picks. But today we're going to be spending a little bit of time grading the other teams' drafts and what we think about the remaining picks from the other 31 teams. We're going to be going in alphabetical order here, starting with the Arizona Cardinals, because that's the way the NFL.com has it set up, and then Falcons, Ravens, Bills, Panthers, etc. Uh,
Hmm.
and taking a look at their draft classes in order by pick. With that said, Keelan, we're going to be opening up with thoughts on the Arizona Cardinals here. Uh, any thoughts on their draft class in general, starting with Zaven in particular?
Well, I think Zaven's a good player, but I don't think it's the right fit there. He's kind of basically Hassan Reddick, who they just lost to the Panthers, but they don't know how to use versatile linebackers, and I think they should have gone with a corner or even an offensive lineman over Zaven. But I think Zaven's a good player.
Cool. I mean, obviously, the rest of the class, is there anyone that kind of stands out to you as a
I
good pick or bad pick or anything?
I think Rondale was a great pick. Rondale's one of my favorite players in this class. When he's on the field, he's absolutely awesome. Marco Wilson's the most famous for throwing a shoe and costing Florida a a win. So that's kind of an oof. Um, I kind of wanted the Lions to pick James Wiggins in the seventh round, but the Cardinals picked him. He's a good safety. Um, Dimukeje, or however you pronounce that
Okay,
name,
Jay.
I've heard good things about him. Never heard of the guy at the bottom.
McCollum. Overall, how would you kind of grade this class in general from what you've seen so far?
I'd say a C plus.
Okay, that's not bad. I was thinking a little bit higher because I obviously like Zayvon Collins and Rondale quite a bit, so that kind of lifts that top end up.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking more like a B minus-ish,
yeah,
making sure that you nail your day one and day two picks, and then your day three picks are kind of more your flyers.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, somewhere in the B range would seem to make sense to me. So moving on to Atlanta, we're kind of gonna breeze through this. We're not gonna be spending like 3 hours doing this. It is actually kind of late, 4:30 my time.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'll be honest, I don't know too much about most of the sixth and seventh rounders, especially, and
Yeah.
even some of the fourth and fifth round guys. Uh, Atlanta here, starting off with Kyle Pitts, Richie Grant, and Jalen Mayfield on day one and two.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kyle Pitts. He's probably the best non Trevor Lawrence player in this class, in my opinion. Um, Richie Grant, extremely high upside. Um, Definitely one of those types of picks that we saw last year where a lot of teams were banking on the high upside safety picks, like especially in Kyle Duggar and Jeremy Chin. I think that's Richie Grant this year. Jalen Mayfield got the tackle guard versatility. The Falcons needed offensive line help. Don't know too much about the bottom three players.
And then they
And
also took a couple more here.
Darby's a good player. I don't know if he's going to make the roster, but he could be a decent like backup slot. Avery Williams, I've heard good things about, and the Adetokumbo fellow, I've heard
Kumbo Gumbawale, probably.
something like that. I've heard good things about him. So overall, I would give this probably another C plus grade.
Okay, yeah, for me, I'm putting quite a bit of emphasis on nailing the top two in particular again, which is going to be more of a common theme, I think, for me than probably for you. So I'm going to go with a solid B. I think Pitts is a home run pick at 4. Richie Grant's probably pretty good, close to a home run pick as you can get in the second. Uh, so both of those guys are A plus and A, which kind of lifts up the rest of the guys on day 3 that they end up taking. So I feel pretty good about a B grade for them as well. Next up here is the Baltimore Ravens, one of my personal favorite classes this year.
Yeah, they had a good draft. They got one of my favorite UDFA targets too in Ardarius Washington.
Oh man, okay, interesting. I'm a
You
little
can
bit behind on UDFAs. Oh, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to scroll down on the page and scroll down the teams. Highly unfortunate. Womp 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 womp.
shout out to your internet.
No, that wasn't my internet. That was me not
Oh,
clicking on the page. I
sad.
pushed the down key to scroll down on the page, but it scrolled down on the teams.
Sad.
Okay, so here's their class: Rashad Bateman, Odafe Uwe, Ben Cleveland, and Brendan Stevens on day 2 and day 1. And then Tylen Wade, Dalen Hayes, and Ben Mason on day 3.
Yeah, I like this class. Bateman's a good player. They need receiver help. I'm glad they doubled up day 1, day 2. OA has extremely high upside, and I have confidence that Wink Martindale will put it together. Cleveland's a good guard backup d- kind of pick. Brandon Stevens, I've heard good things about. Talon Wallace is awesome. Um, Sean Wade as a nickel is pretty damn good. Dalen Hayes, never heard of. Well, I've
Notre
heard
Dame
of. I
kid.
just never. I've heard of him. I just never don't know anything about him. And Ben Mason, I, I assume he's good if he's a fullback being picked in the 5th round.
Yeah, he is one of the best fullbacks in the college game for sure. Got to see a lot of him at U of M. Uh, Big reason why we were able to have any semblance of success, specifically in short yardage, in the red zone. So he definitely stood out to me in the fullback class for sure.
I think for this class, including the UDFAs in this, I think I'd give it an A grade.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same mold as well. I'm not too familiar with Brendan Stevens in particular, but
Hmm.
I like the rest of this class. I like Dalen Hayes. Got to see quite a bit of him when we watched the Aquara tape. Obviously, I'm familiar with Ben Mason. I'm quite familiar with Sean Wade, of course. Big Ten guy. Love, love, love Thailand. I had a second round grade on him. Odafe Uwe, same thing, just an athletic freak. Rashad Bateman, great pickup to go wide receiver in round 1. Yeah, it's a pretty easy A or A minus for me for sure. Next up is Buffalo. Another pretty good class from what I recall. Taking
Yeah,
Gregory Rousseau in the first round.
yeah, they bank on the upside, which I don't blame them. They're a Super Bowl caliber team. They can afford to ta- take a high upside flyer. They really prioritized the trenches day 1 and 2. With Rousseau obviously high upside. If he hits his peak, he's a Miles Garrett type of player. He just has a really low floor.
Yep.
He's, I don't know, he could be Miles Garrett or DeForest Buckner, depends on how you play him, but Boogie Basham's another guy, kind of similar to AJ Epinesa from last year.
Ooh, okay.
So it was a kind of constant theme. Spencer Brown, kind of like Rousseau, extremely high upside, just has to put it all together. High character guy.
Athletically
Uh,
too, isn't he?
very. Tommy Doyle, I don't know much about. Marquez Stevenson is decent. Damar Hamlin, I don't know much about. Uh, these are very cool logos, thank you. Uh, Jack Anderson's whatever. Uh,
Um,
Rashad Wildgoose is a good player. I would say in general this is probably an A minus class for me.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm not really familiar with their day three guys myself. So I'll go with like a B or B plus range.
Fair enough.
But yeah, still pretty solid class for sure. Panthers, one we're gonna be spending a little bit more time on today. Obviously, both of us watch a little bit more Panthers than some of these other teams
Indeed.
because of our friendly pals.
Yeah, first watch of JC Horn I wasn't a fan of. I went back on and I
Oh
liked him
man.
a lot more.
Oh
He's a
my
good player.
gosh. Yeah, man. I unfortunately wasn't able to get around to recording him this year because we had a lot of stuff pop up between last two videos we watched in the draft and wasn't
Yeah.
able to get to recording as many as I wanted to. But he was one of the guys I made sure I watched off cam, and oh my God, I love him.
He's a good player.
He's definitely my type of corner for sure. Physical as heck,
Oh,
bro.
he's
That dude
almost too
is.
physical.
Oh, I love that though. He's so
Yeah.
violent, so aggressive, incredible motor and toughness. That's
Yeah.
at the same time though, he's shut down too. He was able to lock down some of the better weapons in all of college football in the SEC last year.
Yeah.
I really, really like him. One of my favorite players in the entire class. So to see him
He sh-
go to Carolina is I love that.
he shut down pretty much every elite. He faced a lot of elite talent over the past few years, and he shut down all of them. He shut down Jamar Chase last year. Uh,
2 years ago.
uh, that's what I meant. Sorry. Um, but yeah, no, J.C. Horns, he's a good player. Terrace Marshall,
Another good
he
player.
Barry, he's a guy I thought the Lions were going to target in the second round, but he fell for I don't remember why.
Medicals mainly.
Yeah, but it's a steal picking him up at 59 when I thought not looking at medicals, I thought he was a high upside, a first round talent, and the Panthers.
I had him higher end of the second, but yeah, it's still pretty good value for him there for sure,
Yeah,
especially given the position.
and the Panthers traded down and still got him, so that makes it even better for me.
Yep. A lot of trades over the entire course of the class. I think they traded every pick at one point except for their first.
Interesting.
And Deontay Brown in the sixth. But yeah, every other pick was except for their one comp pick a trade down.
Brady Christensen, I'm not a huge fan of this pick just based on the fact that I'm pretty sure he's like 25 years old.
Oh, he's freak athlete if I recall.
Yeah, he's a good player. I'm not a big fan of taking older players like that unless they're like I don't know, Baker Mayfield was like 24 and I was okay with that, but like regardless. Anyways, Tommy Tremble,
The exact opposite. He's only 20, one of the youngest players in the class.
is he? He's a good tight end. He's really good. A lot of Notre Dame players taken. Not by the Panthers in specific, just in this draft.
We
Um,
signed three of them as undrafted rookie free agents.
love it. Chua Hubbard, um, Canadian boy, gotta love it. He's a good back, very good value. Day three, he's gonna be a very good Mike Davis replacement.
Okay.
Davion Nixon, terrific value. I thought he was like a kind of round two value talent. Fell to round five, terrific pick.
Yeah,
Keith
he
Taylor,
has issues with philosophical testing or psychological testing.
huh? Interesting.
He has basically, long story short, he has a learning disorder.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, or some other kind of mental problem.
I see. Um, Keith Taylor, I don't know much about.
Washington corner, that kind of tells what you need to know right there.
Yeah. So
He's going to be
basically,
a physical zone corner.
so basically, who is it? Sidney Jones, was he the
S-
Washington guy?
Sidney Jones was one, Byron Murphy was one, Miles
J-
Bryant was one. There's been
Jalen
several of
Mills?
them. I don't
Or
think
was
Jalen Mills was. I would have remembered that. Marcus Peters was another one.
yeah.
They've had a lot of. Kevin King was another one.
Jalen Mills was, yeah, no, never mind. Uh, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if he's gonna make. He'll probably make the roster like a fourth or fifth corner.
He should. It's Carolina. He'll be a
Yeah,
Cornell the replacement for him, basically.
fair enough. Deontay Brown's home run pick in the 6th round. He's an elite. Well, no, I wouldn't say elite guard. He's a very good guard that has 2nd round talent, but failed or fell due to medicals. He's a very good player. He's gonna slide in immediately at that left guard spot. I expect him to be a day one starter if he's healthy. Shy Smith, he's fine. I mean, the receiver room's so stacked. I don't know if he makes the 53, but he has the
Carolina
ability to.
or Panthers show was kind of talking him up a little bit earlier.
Yeah. I don't know if I was paying attention too much, but Thomas Fletcher. I don't know much about him, but there's not much to know about him. He's a long snapper. They clearly needed a long snapper on roster, so they got a guy that can join the 53-man roster and already become a important piece to their team. And Phil Hoskins, I know nothing about, but doesn't really matter. It's 7th round pick. I think I'm giving this class an A+. Um, they had a really good UDFA signing period. They signed a guy that I really like. Um, I can't remember what his first name is, but the guard more from Grambling.
Okay.
I think he's a good player. I think the Panthers had a great draft. Another um, home run draft by Matt Rule. I thought he had an amazing draft in 2020 and another one in 2021.
Nice. I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I have this more of like an A minus ish. Again, like mainly
Hmm.
I'm not as familiar with most of these day three guys.
Yeah,
Uh, but it's easy to see the vision for sure. And they added a lot of players, which is obviously the right way to go. And
yeah,
JC Horn is going to be I don't necessarily want to single out candidate for a candidate for D-Roy because obviously the corner position isn't really all that in terms of defensive rookie of the year production.
it's
But
possible just because.
he
Sorry.
in terms of like being that caliber of a player,
Yeah,
one of the best rookie defenders in the league. Even
yeah,
if he doesn't isn't a contender for the award per se, he's going to be one of those guys that really showcases his talent.
it's
Maybe
possible
not
he went.
maybe not
Sorry.
even necessarily year one because of the corner transition, but
Hmm.
they year two or year three he'll be a monster.
Yeah, and it's possible that since this edge class was pretty not really top loaded or whatever, that it's possible that a corner can win it, but I bet it's probably going to be a linebacker.
Chicago
Uh,
Bears next. A lot of trade
yeah,
ups for them, contradictory to the Panthers.
yeah, they,
Two picks in the top 150,
yep.
only
You know,
three in the top 216.
I think the first pick trading up with the Giants for Justin Fields, I thought that was I think one of the best picks of the first round. I thought they got an elite quarterback, the second best quarterback in the draft. That fell. I don't really understand why he fell, but I think Chicago got a steal. It was much worth. is very much worth giving up next year's first for him. Tevin Jenkins, he's a good player. I think he fell out of the first due to medicals, but I think he slots in there. Starts at right tackle for Chicago day one. Larry Borum, I have no idea what his deal is. Khalil Herbert's fine. I mean, he's probably going to be their third or fourth running back. Not much to say about him. Daz Newsom's a fun player. Thomas Graham's pretty good. And Kai Reese Tonga is a pretty good player. All in all, I think this is an A draft as well.
Okay, yeah, C for me. I'm also not really as familiar with these guys, Borum, Graham, and Tonga in particular. Uh, so I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go with a B plus. Also, I really want to see what Fields does there first, because Chicago and quarterbacks are not exactly a strong combination. So I'm not necessarily sure how he's gonna fit for them, especially given the prior recent history of the types of quarterbacks that they've liked in that regime, with Matt Nagy and Pace going for Trubisky and Foles, and I think they signed Dalton, didn't they?
Yes.
They have a pretty consistent track record as a regime of preferring quarterbacks of a very different style than Fields. So it'll be very interesting to see how he fits their vision. Uh, and if they even choose to play him in year one when they're kind of in win now mode as a regime. So I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about that pick yet. We're going to have to, that's going to kind of be a wait and see pick for me,
Yeah.
to see how he does actually translate to what they want to do in Chicago.
Cool.
Next up is Cincinnati, another team we're probably going to spend a little bit more time on. Keelan's, or not Keelan, Keegan's favorite team, one of our Prospect Central friends. Of course, started out on day one with a very solid pick in Jamar Chase, who I know we wanted.
Yep. I think he was
Ooh,
one of the three that we were content with.
yep,
Um, Jamar Chase, he was my wide receiver. I can't remember. I think he was my wide receiver 3, but I think he was still an elite player and much worth a pick at 5, even though I think if I was Cincinnati, I would have prioritized taking a guy like Penei Sewell, but that's okay because I got a guy that I like at 46 in Jackson Carman. I think
so before
he's,
you get too far, I will say that I think part of the Chase pick was the dynamic of having him with Burrow,
yeah.
and not necessarily even just pleasing Joe Burrow or keeping him happy and everything else, because an offensive lineman like Sewell or even Slater, to be honest, I think would have made Burrow happy too.
Hmm.
So I don't think that dynamic necessarily played into it, but the chemistry factor, the getting him a number one weapon, the getting him a guy he can actually get the ball to, all those types of things, finding a replacement for AJ Green, which was a huge need for them, and filling all those kinds of picks with a guy of Chase's caliber. Yeah, you can't go wrong at all with that.
Right.
Easy A plus pick.
Yep. Jackson Carman. Carman's a good player. I think he's a plug and play. I don't know wherever you want to put him. They list him at guard. I think he can plug and play at right tackle, left guard, right guard. They don't know where they're gonna play him, but whatever. It's offensive line help. Um, Joseph Asai, that's a amazing pick. I'm a huge fan of him.
Same.
We we watched his tape together. I think
Yep.
we did a video on him.
Yep.
He was awesome. He's a great player. Terrific value in the third round. I would have been content picking him in the first round
Yep.
if my team badly needs edge. Um,
Which is why they doubled down with their next pick.
don't know who Cameron Sample is. I wonder if he's any relation to their tight end, Drew. But don't know much about him, so I'm not going to really comment. Tyler Shelvin's a good pick, and nose tackle.
They were
Um,
really hyping him up on NFL Network earlier today.
yeah, he'll probably be a rotation with DJ Reader or whatever. Dante Smith. I've heard good things, haven't watched film on him or anything. Will probably be a developmental guy. I don't think he'll start, but he might. Evan
How that
McPherson.
offensive line played last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't really get much worse than having your offensive lineman throw a defensive lineman into your young star quarterback's knee. I think that's an all-time low. Evan McPherson is same thing with the Panthers, long snapper.
Oh, he's a fantastic kicker. He's so good.
I don't know much about him. I didn't watch him. I don't watch
He's
kicker picks.
he's got crazy kick power.
Cool.
He's
Well,
the best kicker in college football last year and very deserving of a fifth round pick.
cool. Well, they got their kicker of the future, I guess. Trey Hill,
Kicker of the
more
present, to
off.
be honest.
Fair enough. Trey Hill, more offensive line depth. Chris Evans, don't know much about. You'll know more about him than I will.
He's fine. He was suspended for a year because of academic reasons, so there's a little bit of a question about that. But I mean, he's not really anything particularly special or would have gone higher. He was back up to Charbonnet before Charbonnet
Yeah,
transferred this year,
yeah. Wyatt
unfortunately.
Hubert, don't know much about him. I think this class is it's not a bad class. I'd say I'd give it a B, B minus maybe, B minus.
I give it a B plus. I like Chase a lot. Carmen, of course, feels a huge need. And level Cy. Tyler Shelvin heard great things about. McPherson's a fantastic pick in the fifth round to really aid their special teams unit. Uh, Obviously not familiar with Sample or Smith or Huber, but or Hill, but the rest of those picks, I really like the ones that I know about. So,
Yeah,
okay, next one is the Cleveland Browns.
I already know the grade I'm gonna give this, but I'll review the players
Yeah,
first.
I'm pretty sure from what I remember following it live, this is going to be a pretty easy A or A plus for me.
Yeah, first pick Newsome. He's a terrific player. I think he's one of the better corners in this class.
And it's not even necessarily to me that he's that great of a player, because like the Horn and Surtain tier is quite significantly above him for me.
Mhm.
But that fit in Cleveland, and for where they were able to get him at 26 instead of top 10, like Horn and Surtain went, the value and the fit are just make that such a good pick. We talked about this live on the podcast too, on the Discord chat. Like that pick was so predictable, and I was like, as soon as the Browns were up, and I'm like, oh yep, they're taking Newsom. Everyone else was like pretty surprised. I was like, nah, that's a really easy pick.
Mhm.
And I did the same thing when they took Denzel Ward too. Uh, when they took
Yeah.
Denzel Ward at number 4 a couple of years ago, I was like, oh yeah, they're taking. The day before, I was even like, oh yeah, they're taking Denzel Ward. That's a pretty easy pick. Uh,
Mhm.
that's it's incredibly on brand, especially for an Interberry front office
Yeah.
and what they're trying to build. I think Steve Wilkes is their DC still, or did they fire him?
Who? Pardon me?
Steve Wilkes?
I thought they fired him.
It's possible
I
that they
could.
did.
I thought it was Joe Woods.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Still another very good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's good.
Very on brand pick for them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he's Was Barry GM when they picked Ward, or no? That was
That
Dorsey
was
still.
Dorsey. That was Dorsey's last class there.
Right.
But he was on, I believe he was on that staff, if I recall, because he took the 1 year hiatus to go to Philadelphia or wherever he came from, technically. Because he went
Yeah.
back to Cleveland. He was on Cleveland's staff, and then he left for a year, and then he came back to
Yeah.
Cleveland.
He was on there for 2018. So yeah. But yeah. I think Newsom's a good player, great fit. I think he's probably gonna be their corner too very soon. Don't know if he starts there day one, but I think he's gonna take over that role. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Um, If you've watched the video, you'll know my thoughts. I think he's a really good player. I would have been comfortable picking him. I would have been more than comfortable. I would have given an A+ pick if they picked him at 26.
6.
I think he would have been a great pick in top 15 pick. Probably best linebacker in the class, I would say.
And the thing about Cleveland too is they have the opportunity here, given their current situation of their franchise, to take a little bit of a risk in terms of finding his position and where he's going to fit and this and that and the other thing, because that was why he fell out of the top 50.
Yeah.
Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? Is he a fox? Is he a hanging? Where's he going to play? Blah blah blah. And Cleveland has the luxury to kind of do what they need to do to find that spot for him. So yeah, I really like this that fit there and giving him a little bit of time and patience. And he's going to need to adjust to the next level at wherever they end up putting him. And I think he's a linebacker. I think they're making the right decision there.
Yeah, and yeah, I think Koromoa, he's a plug and play player wherever. I think he's gonna become an immediate fan favorite in Cleveland, and I know, Josh from PC 101 again was quite happy with the round 1 and 2 haul.
Oh, and there's no reason not to be. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Barry and company killed it. And round 3, Anthony Schwartz, they're banking up on upside there a lot. He's got 4.2 speed. He's a track star.
And
I think
they can do that. They have the luxury to be able to do that.
exactly. I think he ran like a 4.29 unofficial.
4.26. Yep.
Was it really? Oh
Yep.
wow.
Fastest player in the class.
Fastest player since John Ross?
I don't know if someone beat that last year or not.
I don't think anyone. 4.27 is what Kent has, but yeah. Absolutely terrific. Um Tommy Togiai, I skipped a
Oh,
guy.
yeah, he skipped
James
Hudson.
James Hudson, he's a good player. I
He
think
had a
he
scary bowl game. That game was probably the main reason why he fell from the second or third round all the way to the
Oh
top of the
wow.
fourth.
Didn't watch that.
He committed I think 3 or 4 penalties and he may have gotten ejected if I recall.
Oh dang.
It was horrifying. He almost single-handedly cost that team a game as an offensive lineman.
Sad.
It was disappointing. But he had a fantastic year up to that point. Uh,
Hudson's a guy that, well, he's not going to start or anything. They got Conklin and Wills, but he's going to be that third tackle.
Backup swing. Yep.
Yeah. He's good. Maybe they develop him as guard and have him replace Batonio long term. I don't know.
No, he'll be the backup swing as a fourth rounder.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Tommy Togi.
when we took Crosby originally.
Yeah. Tommy Togiai, he's high upside, a really good pass rusher. I'm a fan. I think that's a really good value pick in round 4. I got a chance to watch him quite a bit with Ohio State. He's fun. Tony Fields, I've heard good things about. Richard LeCount, I thought was gonna be a second round pick, and he's an awesome player. Demetric Felton's kind of a better version of I don't know. Not better version, but he a different comp. He's pretty much Antonio Gibson 2.0.
Oh,
Not quite
okay.
as good, but same type of player.
Interesting. So running back turned receiver.
Basically, a guy who can play both.
Nice. So
Basically, he's a typical Memphis running back who played at UCLA.
ah, so overall grade has to be an A for me,
Yeah, I'm giving it an A+.
especially given their top 3 round picks.
I I think they I think they hit every pick except for I don't know who Tony Fields is much about him, but I thought they hit pretty much all of them were home runs.
Nice. Next up is Dallas.
The Cowboys was
Traded back in the
kind of
first round, which was a good move.
it was yeah they got the player they would have taken at 10 at
Another
12.
very, very predictable, easy to make pick there.
Yeah, if I didn't I had them taking Surtain, but I didn't expect him to go to Denver. So had I known that
Yeah,
both quarters,
at the time they were
yeah,
up at 10. That was pretty easy, predictable pick.
had I originally known that he was going to Surtain or both corners were going to be off the board, then I think this would have been such an easy pick. Parsons is a good player if the character checks out, like an elite player. So
And even if he doesn't, he's going to Dallas. It's not like it really matters anyway.
that's very true. Calvin Joseph's meh. I think
He was pretty decent.
he's all right. I don't think he's worth a top 50 pick. Osa
Okay.
Odigizua, I don't.
Oh, Digazua. Yep.
I think he's fine. I mean, it's whatever. He's
Pretty athletic, if I recall.
probably Chauncey Golston. Don't probably not worth a day 2 pick.
Oh, so you're going
Nashawn
to be lower on
Wright.
this class than I am. That's interesting. Okay.
Nashawn Wright. My sources tell me, my sources being Braden, is he's not worth a 6th round pick, let alone a top 100 pick.
Yeah, you're talking
So
defensive back from Oregon State. You're
that's a big
not
fat
talking
F.
production.
Jabril Cox was a good pick, good value pick, but they have so many linebackers. I don't know what they're gonna do with it.
They're
They
probably
got
going to let.
LB,
My guess is that they let Leighton walk in free agency and take
probably.
the third round comp for him,
Yeah,
especially given that they can't really afford to pay him anyway.
true. Josh Ball is fine. I mean, it's depth. Probably not a great pick, top 150, but whatever. Simi Fehoko is your classic Stanford receiver, basically
Contested
Arcega
catch.
Whiteside.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, contested catch. Arcega Whiteside 2.0. Quinton Bohanna, I've literally never heard of. Israel Mukuamu is a good player. I expected him to go like 3rd round. So
yep.
I think that's a good pick. Matt Farniok, I've never heard of.
So overall grading opinion on the class?
I would say a D.
Oh, yeah, so I was right. I'm going to be a lot higher on this class thing. I have a C minus, or not C minus, a C plus. I really
Okay.
like Parsons for them. I'm a little bit higher on Calvin Joseph, a little bit higher on Owa, a little bit higher on Chauncey, a little bit higher on Jabril, a little bit higher on Simi than you, and we both agree on Israel. So, and of course, with the rest of these picks, you're taking lottery tickets, but at the same time, like if you take so many, you're probably going to hit on one. I don't think all 10 of these guys are going to suck. So,
Right.
uh, they're doing a pretty nice job of building the depth of their team, and that was their biggest issue last year, other than Dak getting hurt. Next up is Denver, another team we're going to be spending a little bit more time on. Of course, their first pick was Sertan.
I thought that was a very interesting and unexpected pick, but I was a big fan of Sertan. He's a really good player, BPA. Really good move for Peyton's first pick as Broncos GM.
And I think it kind of establishes a little bit of a culture. So they're going to be a
Mm-hmm.
very different team than we are.
Yeah.
And our style of build is obviously going to be in Detroit being ours. Very much more about the physicality, very much more about the line play and winning in the trenches and unique caps and glass eaters. Their um, identity and their focus is going to be kind of building around making sure that they kind of counter the strengths of their opposing teams that they play against.
Yep.
So they're going to be a team that looks to try and shut down Mahomes, shut down Herbert, and shut down the Raiders passing game, I guess. Uh, so and utilize that coverage element, and that's something that Vic Fangio has been known for throughout the last 10 plus years. So getting a guy who's going to be able to go there and learn from Vic, and hopefully help save Vic's job because I think he's pretty good
Yeah,
head coach. Hopefully he's able to be a part of that vision for them and help secure that defense and uh, really aid and help their coverage. That was at times very lacking depth last year, which is a big reason why they were struggling so much in past seasons, that lack of depth,
yeah. I think Sertan's a Fangio cornerback.
for sure.
Yeah, he's a good pick. Next pick, Javonte Williams. He's a good player, but it was kind of a head scratcher trading up all the way for him.
Yeah, I don't really like running backs on day two as much as you can avoid it.
Yeah,
And it was pretty clear he was their best running back in the class and the last kind of top tier guy. But I don't know if they really need a running back that much.
they got rid of Philip Lindsay, so but they still have Melvin Gordon and Royce Freeman.
I will say though that the rest of the class, just looking at this top sheet, is all guys that I'm quite familiar with, which is a good thing in
hmm
this year.
Round three, Quinn Miners. I love that pick. He's awesome. I think he's gonna compete for a starting center or guard spot. I think he's. I think he might win it too. He's awesome. Extremely high football character guy. He's awesome. I was honestly surprised the Lions didn't try to go after him. Baron Browning, I'm a fan of. He's that linebacker edge hybrid guy.
He was a freak athlete too, wasn't he? He was like a 9.9 something RAS score.
I don't remember honestly.
Yeah, he was crazy athletic for a linebacker. He was the guy that a lot of Lions fans were targeting.
Oh yeah, he was 99.8 percentile.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. He ran out. Yeah, that was great. Anyways,
Oh my God, they killed this. Stearns?
Stearns, he's a good player. You know, kind of fell off this year, but he's high upside. Jamar Johnson, don't know much about.
Oh, he's great. We were talking
Is
about
he?
taking him with our third rounder.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, he was I think the third best safety this year, after Moyrig and Javon Holland. He was
Interesting.
kind of right in that mix to be that number three guy.
Interesting.
He's fantastic. I was a huge fan of his.
Seth Williams is a good player. I
He's
really
another
like
really
him.
really high upside guy too.
Yeah, he's not gonna get much opportunities with this stacked receiver room, but they're
He'll
probably
be a
gonna get rid.
vice. He'll
Yeah,
be a dang good one given his size and his strength.
well they'll probably replace him. Well they'll probably get rid of Deshaun Hamilton or Tyree Cleveland then.
I don't know.
They're gonna have to because they got the receiver rooms. Judy, Sutton, Patrick Hamler's their top four.
Oh, I forgot about Tim Patrick. Yeah, okay.
And they'll have,
That's the reason I thought he
and
was a
then
free
they
agent.
have Williams, Hamilton, and Cleveland basically battling for the five spot and maybe the sixth if they decide. Kerry Vincent, I like him. I think he's probably going to be a nickel or like a free safety type of
In the
player.
seventh round is really big
It's really good
steal.
value. Um, Jonathan Cooper, I like a lot. High upside pick there. High football character, if I remember correctly with him. Um, a good pick there. Marquise Spencer, I don't know much about.
So overall thoughts on the class?
I like it a lot. I give that an A plus.
Yeah, same here. I really, really love this class. And yeah, this trade out for Javonte Williams isn't really the greatest move of all time. But the rest of these guys, all the way through Vincent, are guys that I had kind of projected to Detroit at least at one point or another.
hmm
Yeah, that's a fantastic class. Great value across the board. Really big fan of what Peyton was able to do. in his first year in
Yeah.
Denver. So skipping over Detroit because we've already gone over them enough in our other videos, we'll go right to Green Bay. Of course, their first round pick this year was crap. Who was it? Who was their first rounder this year?
Eric Stokes.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because we talked about how he wasn't in the top like 50 guy on most people's boards. That's right. Freaky athlete though. I think he ran like 4.28 or something like that at quarter. He'll be pretty fun opposite Jair.
Yeah, they took a third round corner or the late or mid second round corner, 29 with better players on the board. Not a huge fan. Um, Josh Myers, he's good. I think Creed's better, and he went a pick after Myers. So it's not a horrible pick. They took A. Rogers for A. Rogers. Amari Rogers is fine. It's supposed to be Randall Cobb 2.0. Um,
Clemson's
cool.
number two.
Pardon me?
Clemson's number two receiver with Trevor
Yeah,
Lawrence.
number one to this year. Without T. Higgins, obviously, and Justin Ross being hurt. Royce Newman, I don't know much about. Tadaro Slayton is whatever. He's gonna be a rotation piece. Shamar Jean Charles, I don't know. It sounds like he belongs in a Mr. Hurricane dynasty mode.
He's pretty solid. I like those FC kids. They're generally pretty high
Cool.
motor.
Cole Van Lanen's a Wisconsin guard, so he has to be pretty decent.
Could say the
Isaiah
same about the next pick too. Boston College linebackers have a pretty strong history.
many
Typically.
people are saying. My dude coaching them now. I can't. I'm blanking on his name, but I like him. He was the Ohio State DC
Oh
for a
yeah,
while.
yeah. I know who you're talking about. Um,
Jeff
I like him
Halfley.
too. Yeah, yeah. I thought he'd be an NFL DC candidate.
Yeah, he's a good. He's a good coach. Um, Kylan Hill. He's a. I mean, you, you're picking him with one the
Fourth
one of
last
the.
pick in the draft.
Yeah, exactly. You're picking him really late. I think that's a really good pick. Get a guy that's basically just gonna replace Jamal Williams.
So overall thoughts on the class?
Not good. No, I think this is a D.
Yeah, I'll be a little bit more optimistic. I'm a little bit higher on Stokes than you because I love the athletic traits there. So I'm gonna go with the C minus. I think him, Myers, and Rogers can contribute. And John Charles will be pretty decent depth for them. And other guys at least have potential to be contributors in depth basis on a team that could have won the Super Bowl this year if they had
Hmm
managed to get by Tampa.
If they had managed to make proper coaching decisions and Aaron Rodgers knew how to run the ball into the end zone. Oh boy, this should be fun.
So I will say I am a lot higher on Mills than a lot of other people are.
On who?
Davis Mills,
Ah,
who was their
I
first
haven't.
pick.
I think he's a good player. Mills is a fine player, a good pick in the third round. What my issue was, Mills, fine pick. They traded up using so much gosh darn value for Nico Collins.
Yep.
Well, okay, I need to find the official trade. 109, 158, and a 2022 fourth for 989 for Nico Collins. Brevin Jordan's a steal in the fifth round. That's a good pick. Garrett Wallow and Roy Lopez is whatever. You know, I would have given this a C plus had they not made that trade up, but I think I'm gonna give this a C minus just because that was a really stupid decision.
Yeah, I'm going to be even more harsh than you. Okay, I will preface this by saying that a lot of this was set up by O'Brien. So this is more of a grade for O'Brien than Casario, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to give this a D plus. I really don't think that this is going to do anything to improve their franchise. Like
Yeah.
I like Mills, but that's a team that like okay, you have to know that you're gonna suck if you don't have Deshaun Watson, and Davis Mills is not going to change that.
Davis Mills isn't gonna start.
He's fine.
He'll back up to Rod Taylor.
That makes it even worse.
Sad.
um, yeah, he's an average quarterback for a draft prospect, is in like a decent day two pick who I would take in the fourth because of don't take a day two quarterback pick ever philosophy.
Yeah.
But like you have to know if you're Casario that you're not going to win games if you don't have Deshaun Watson. You have no
Yeah.
cap space. You have minimal talent on the roster.
No.
Your coach is not fit to win year one. David Coley's not going to be a guy who's going to instantaneously come in and change the culture. That's not what he's doing. You're basically hiring him as a tank coach, really.
Basically.
And then you make your first pick a guy who's not going to be a game-changing, franchise-changing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Brevin Jordan's probably my favorite pick for them. And again, I see this liking Mills. I loved Mills if he went to like New Orleans
Mm-hmm.
or Pittsburgh
Tampa.
or I don't necessarily know about Tampa. I think that they were going to take Trask, but that's we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of those other teams that was looking for a future replacement who would give them a year and whatever else. Houston, given that they're probably going to be picking top two, top three,
Mm-hmm.
maybe at best next year, prime position to take a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I don't see how the Texans win a game next year if Watson doesn't play.
I think they'll win a game. I don't think they're going to go 0-17.
They might win.
They'll find a way to beat like Jacksonville or something.
They they might beat a team that's resting their starters week 18.
I think they could beat like the Jags or something like that.
Mm,
Like if they were to like, okay, we want to give Lawrence a game against the team that we think he's going to beat in Houston week one in prime time or something,
mhm,
and then they end up like pulling off a little bit of a week one upset somehow. Especially given that there's only going to be two preseason games this year, I think it's possible that they could do something. But like, oh, yeah, not a fan of that class. And again, that's mainly a discredit to O'Brien. That's not really anything particularly against the current situation and staff, but he just set them up for failure. Anyway, with that being said, move on to the divisional rival Colts, another class that I'm personally not as high on as most Chris Ballard classes are. I normally am a huge fan of what Ballard does, but this year, I don't necessarily see as much. Your thoughts?
Um, this class wasn't all that good, I don't think. I mean, Quiddy Pay is a good player. Um,
He's fine, but like at 21.
Pay at 21 is a good value pick.
Ah,
Deo Odeyingbo doubling up on edges, I don't really agree with. Kylan Granson, no idea who this is, and if you're picking him over Brevin Jordan at 127, that's a bad pick. Sean Davis, I've never heard of. Sam Ellinger is whatever. You're picking him to back up Carson Wentz,
yep.
but I think they already have Jacoby Brissett.
Do they? I thought it was a
Oh,
free agent.
oh, apparently he went to the Dolphins.
Yep. To back up Tua.
Um, Ellinger's gonna back up Wentz. He's probably not gonna play. It's whatever. You got a backup quarterback at 218. Michael or Mike Strachan. The only
Stricken.
reason the only reason this is a good pick is because his name sounds like Michael Strahan. And Will French Fries. This is a big fat D minus.
Yeah, I'm kind of underwhelmed. I will say that if you're a Colts fan, definitely trust in Ballard and the vision that they have. And that is a team that's assuming Carson Wentz plays like he did in 2019, was it? Or 2018?
18, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a team that's a Super Bowl contender.
Mhm.
So you're mainly looking for depth and filler pieces
Mhm.
and long-term upside picks who are going to become starters or long-term backups in the next 3 or 4 years. But in terms of like just I'm not really high on Quiddy Pay either, which does kind of hurts this for me.
Mhm.
I'm normally lower on Michigan players than anyone else because they're Michigan players.
Eh,
So yeah, I'll say D plus. I'll give Baylor a little bit more benefit than you, but
before we move on to our next team, I just want to say, Josh Ball, the Cowboys offensive tackle they selected in the fourth round, apparently is a horrible person, which is
rip.
on brand for the Cowboys. Apparently, his ex-girlfriend swore a petition that detailed 11 incidents of violence against her and others throughout their 18-month relationship. He was accused of slapping her, and in another incident, throwing her to the floor. In another incident, accused of grabbing and shoving her. Um,
So he's a bad person and the Cowboys suck. Okay, cool. Moving on to another team that sucks, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their draft class, however, does not suck, at least in my opinion.
um, Trevor Lawrence, good football player. Yeah, he's uh, moderately talented at throwing the football. Um, wasn't didn't lose very many games at Clemson. Very good pick.
Lost
Travis,
one.
he never lost a regular season game.
He lost one game, not in the
He
regular season
he
this year.
lost multiple games, not in the regular season throughout his career. I think he lost 4, but he lost none in the regular season. He's a very successful quarterback. Travis Etienne was a stupid pick.
Oh, I disagree entirely. I love that pick. I called that pick in the Discord chat too.
They were going to take Tony if he fell. Urban Meyer confirmed it.
Yeah, and that would have been a great pick too. That doesn't change the fact that he didn't fall in ETN was still a good pick to me, given the
Yeah,
situation.
I disagree. I think James Robinson was good enough to hold them over, whereas they didn't have to take a day one running back. I don't take running backs round one, especially if you already have a good running back. I don't care if they played together for 3 years or whatever. This
It
is
makes sense. It's a chemistry locker room
this is
pick
a
that's going to make them a dynamic offense, especially given that Urban Meyer is literally a college coach.
okay. Well, then I hope the Lions trade, or I hope they cut James Robinson and then we sign him
I don't
because
think
he's
they're
a
going
good.
to cut James Robinson. I think they're going to rotate them, especially early on. But
Mm,
like James Robinson was a UDFA,
uh-huh.
so they're not really banking on him to be a stable long-term option. I think they are with ETN. I think he's going to be an option for them for 5 years. And then
Mm.
5 years from now, they'll move on and do their thing.
Tyson Campbell was a bit of a reach, but he'll play nickel. They have Shaquille Griffin and C.J. Henderson.
Ooh, okay.
Campbell's a good nickel. He'll be the day one starter there. Walker Little, they're preparing for life after, what's his face, Cam Robinson. He's on the franchise tag. He'll leave next year. Andre Cisco's a fine pick. He's a pretty good player.
Yep.
Jay Tufele is a good player.
Yep.
Jordan Smith, I don't know much about. I really like Luke Farrell. I think that's a good pick. Don't know much about Jalen Camp. Solid B+ draft for me. Maybe A-. I'll go A-. No, actually, I take that back. B+ because they took a running back in the first round.
Oh, I give it a B+, but for other reasons. I don't necessarily know anything about these day 3 guys. I like Tufle. I like Cisco. I like little bit lower. But yeah, I like the idea of Lawrence and Etienne together. It's gonna be a really nice dynamic duo pairing for them. And it'll really allow Urban to run his college offense at the pro level. If it's gonna work, if it's gonna fail, it's not gonna fail because they didn't get a running back.
Yeah.
Kansas City. Team without a first round pick. Team who has been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 2 years and didn't really have any needs. Oh. Interesting class here. Okay. First pick Nick Bolton.
Very good player.
So is Creed Humphrey.
Indeed, both are very good players. Both are A picks, A+ picks. It's just gonna be so dynamic with Willie Gay. Both like really explosive linebackers. Creed Humphrey, he's gonna start day 1 at center or guard or whatever. I don't know much about Kane Doe or Noah Gray or Cornell Powell.
Powell's a slack guy for Clemson.
Trey Smith is a good pick, a steal at round 6 if his medicals check out.
Which they won't, but he's not going to have that issue for the rest of all time, I don't think either.
Right. But no, I think Trey Smith might slot in starting guard, Humphrey starting tackle or center. Pardon me.
Bolton's probably starting linebacker for him too, right?
I would say so. I think they start. Dang, they had a really good free agency. See, I didn't even know this. They're starting their offensive line. They just they need a right tackle, but they brought in Kyle Long. They brought in Austin Blythe. They brought in Joe Tooney and Orlando Brown.
Yep.
But yeah, Creed Humphreys.
Well, remember though, they also cut all their guys. They cut Fisher, they cut Schwartz, they cut Morse. And Duvernay Tardif is on the COVID opt-out list.
Yeah, he came up to Canada to be a doctor or something.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think Bolton slots in day 1 linebacker. I'm not sure if Creed beats out Austin Blythe, but he'll be the long-term replacement for Kyle Long at right guard at the very least.
Overall grade?
I would say C+. No, I'll go B-.
I agree. B-. Solid stuff. Imagine needing a wide receiver and a tight end when you have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Good
Sad.
lord. Bro, can you imagine if the Lions' biggest need this year was a tight end? And you have TJ Hawkinson. To be fair, I would have taken Pitts, but
Yeah.
really? Alright, speaking of biggest needs, Chargers, offensive line, Rashawn Slater. Easy A+ pick for me.
Rashawn Slater, yeah, he's a good player.
Another
Great
one,
value at 13 or whatever it was.
Another one of the most obvious picks in the draft. It was pretty easy to call.
Yeah. Asante Samuel, very good value. Got another Florida State DB in LA.
Very good one too. We were talking about taking him at
39, 41.
41. Yep.
Yeah, he's a good player. Palmer, he's pretty good. Trey McKitty's pretty good. Chris Rumpf is pretty good. Brendan James is alright. Good depth, backup tackle. Nick Neiman, I know nothing about. Larry Roundtree's whatever, fine depth. Mark Webb's fine depth, nothing too special. Day 3 there, outside of Rumpf. But all in all, I think this was a pretty decent class. I would say B minus.
Oh, that low. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna go with the A minus. The Slater pick
Interesting.
is fills up their biggest need. Samuel is a great value pick. Palmer really fills that wide receiver hole that they have. Rumpf was a great value pick for edge for them. And replacing Hunter Henry with a tight end on day 2 was a need. I really like
Slater,
that class.
I think Slater slots in starting left tackle.
Yep.
Sad, apparently they're starting Ode Ibushi at left guard this year. My condolences. Yeah.
Team that
Asante
we're
Samuel's gonna be a starting corner this year.
Yep. A team that we're fairly familiar with now. All the work that
Yep.
we've done on them during the coaching and of course the GM search here. LA Rams. Very small class, both literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not
People
really. They're 2 pages.
people were making fun of Tutu Atwell, saying that the Rams' second round pick couldn't go to Disneyland if they won the Super Bowl because he wouldn't be able to go on the rides. He's like 150 pounds. He's the lightest player ever to be drafted in NFL history, apparently.
That makes sense.
But I like Tutu. He's explosive. Very on brand pick. Don't think for LA. Yeah. Ernest Jones, I know nothing about. Bobby Brown, I know nothing about. Robert Rochelle is a good player.
Yep.
Jacob Harris, I know nothing about. Ernest Brown, I don't nothing about. I don't know why they need to take so many Ernests. I didn't know it was the 60s. Jake Funk, not the best running back available, so bad pick. I don't know nothing about him though. Ben Skowronek, know nothing about. Chris Garrett, know nothing about. So basically an on-brand Rams draft. Not a good draft in my opinion. I would have to give this like a D.
Yeah, C minus for me. They're missing Brad Holmes for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is Las Vegas.
It was a rough start, but I think they finished off strong.
Okay, first pick was of course Alex Leatherwood.
That was a reach. He's a good player, but a second round pick. He's slotting in day 1, starting right tackle, replacing Trent Brown.
Moirig. I thought we'd
Trayvon
take at
Moehrig.
41.
He's a good player. He's gonna yeah, he's gonna be a day 1. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on my words. He's gonna be a day 1 contributor. Malcolm Kuntz is a good player. The Raiders take another edge from Buffalo. Divine Diablo is one of my draft crushes.
Jeez, they went really heavy on safety. My God.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Their safety room is absolutely horrible.
What happened to Jonathan Abram?
Can't really stay healthy and can't cover. He's basically a linebacker,
Oh man.
which is basically who Divine Diablo is. So basically, he'll just play linebacker as well. Yeah. Um,
Gillespie.
Gillespie. I've heard good things about Nate Hobbs. No idea. Jimmy Morrissey. No idea. It's not a horrible class. Not great. I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I'll go with a D plus.
Fair enough.
I know. I was so when we were doing the Discord, I basically was like, okay, so there were probably I think 25 of us in there. So it was kind of hard for like me to talk over everybody. That's not really who I am anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like write on my whiteboard like good pick, bad pick, whatever. And uh, there was kind of like a weird silence ish for a moment because we
Mm-hmm.
like cut out like when teams were announcing their picks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I literally wrote on my whiteboard, this is the first player that I hadn't watched that was taking on D1.
Interesting.
I didn't think he was going to go on day one. I tried to watch like as many of the first round guys as I thought were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he wasn't on that list for me. Moiric was, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty good pick. But otherwise, like Diablo, I thought would be a fair pick for us because we need safety. Gillespie, same thing. I thought that those guys would be a fourth or fifth round option for us.
Diablo would have been our what's his face?
John
Um,
Johnson,
no, 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 no,
Taylor Rapp,
no. The linebacker that we picked.
oh
That would be
Barnes,
basically him instead. I think Diablo's gonna be a linebacker. He's basically Keanu O'Neal slash um Jonathan Abram 2.0.
uh, still, I really don't like that class myself personally.
No, it's not good. I think Diablo's a good pick. I don't even think Diablo's a good pick. I just like the player. Wrong fit. Don't need him. Dolphins.
Jalen Lyle, of course, with their first round pick.
You know I love Chris Greer. Probably my favorite GM, not named Brad Holmes right now.
Interesting. Okay.
Um,
Oh, whoops. Did the same thing again.
Sad.
Unfortunate. So Waddle, first pick, number 6.
Waddle's a very good pick. I love Jalen. He's gonna be a stud. He's gonna be a day one wide receiver one impact.
That it?
And yes, and I think Jalen Phillips, their other first round pick, he's high upside edge rusher staying in town. Has
And
all
yeah,
the
there was a lot of talk about Phelps going in that he would have potential like character, medical, or whatever issues.
hmm
If there were a team, I talked about this again in the Discord chat. If there were a team that were able to get any intel on him, it would be Miami. They're like right there. They get him for local visits. They have all the connections to the coaching staff and everything else that they would possibly need or want. They would be able to bring him in at any time for whatever they would need. They probably know his personal doctor at that point, or at least can very
Yeah.
easily get in touch with him or whatever. Just being like literally probably right across the street, not literally, but metaphorically, uh, from from where he was at college. So if there were any team that would have any intel on what they'd be getting, it would be the Dolphins, and I trust Greer to make that pick.
So fun fact about Phillips, he was the number one recruit in all of college football when he came out. He committed to UCLA. He played his freshman and sophomore year. It was quite underwhelming. He got a concussion that ended his season. And he got a bunch of injuries. He got hit by a car while riding a moped in Los Angeles. He medically retired from football and enrolled at the Los Angeles City College to study music production in 2018. He took the entire 2019 off, and then he decided to transfer to Miami. And he he sat out that entire 2019 year. He started in 2020. He was a finalist for the Benerick Award, and he declared for the draft. But this year was his, or 2020 was his first year playing football in 2 years because they took 2019 off.
So he is an opt-out.
No, he literally medically retired from
Well,
football.
I'm just saying that he was
Yeah,
basically the same thing as if it were an opt-out, just reverse years.
yeah. Javon Holland, I wasn't a huge fan of, but I think it was a good pick regardless because good value pick. I'm not as big of a fan as Sam is, but um, Holland's a good player. Eichenberg's a good player, a good pick. I think that says Hunter Long. I thought that was a great pick. I was a huge fan of that pick. In fact, I thought it was quite hilarious that Miami did this because they have Gesicki, and it was like really on brand because I wanted Pitts, and I love Miami, and Sam was annoyed because they took Waddle and Holland, who were his two draft crutches, and for them they took a second tight end to go with Gesicki that I really wanted to do with Hawk, and I thought that this was like a really good pick because I thought Long was going to be a day one contributor and a future stud. So that was a really good pick.
And
I don't know.
this is the type of class that we're looking at having 2 years from now, in 2023,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm not. There's a possibility that we still have a top 10 pick in 2023. I don't necessarily think that we're going to be like some world beater team next year, in 2022, unless we take Howell or Slovis or whatever and we explode that way. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't think I mean, it's possible we have a Miami like resurgence, but unlikely. Uh, 'Cause you're looking at, or I mean, even if you wanted to say next year, uh, like this is a class where okay, you get your edge rusher, you get your top weapon, you get
Hmm.
a very solid safety pick, which is going to be another need for us next year. You get offensive line depth. I'm not going to say offensive tackle, but
Guard
maybe
for
a
sure.
guard for that particular
We'll be
spot. Yeah,
cutting. We can cut Vaitai, so we'll need to replace him.
yeah. And then you got backup tight end. Hill's going to be leaving. And then probably not a whole heck of a lot of day three picks, given that we traded away our fourth, and I don't think we have a fifth either.
No,
Uh, so yeah,
we traded
that's
our fourth away because we're counting on a really good amount of uh
comp
comp,
picks.
comp picks. Yep, and we have two firsts, so I'm not too concerned. In terms of the seventh, nothing really to talk about there. I don't know much about them. I don't even know if they'll make the 53.
Yep.
They'll probably be practice squad players. But I think this is a really good draft, and I'd give this an A plus.
I don't necessarily want to say A plus, but I feel pretty good about an A or an A minus for sure.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Maybe an A just because it's not quite as good as, say, the Browns, in my opinion. But
cool. Next up, we have a division rival of ours, Minnesota Vikings. Team that's known
yeah,
for
their
drafting well and underperforming.
first round pick, they traded down and got a guy that I thought was a top 10 player in the class. And Christian Darrisaw, they got
And for a
draft
need.
picks.
Had to prioritize left tackle. They sure got one.
Darrisaw's a damn good player, and they got him at 23. Kellen Mond, I don't know. Maybe
Ew.
he'll. Hmm?
Ew. I hate that pick for them.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if they're gonna. Um, I don't know if they're gonna cut Cousins after this year, or if he's just gonna be a backup that they took in the third round for whatever reason. Um, Chaz Surratt's a good pick. Wyatt Davis is a really good pick.
But I like
Patrick
that one for them for sure.
Patrick Jones is a good pick. Kenny Nwangwu, I don't know much about.
King
He was a
Nwangwu is a
he
pretty
was
good
the
running back.
backup at Iowa State. Cam Bynum was a pretty good player.
I liked him a lot.
Janarius Robinson, I've heard good things about. Amir Smith Marsette's a good player.
Yep.
Zach Davidson, I don't know much about. And Jalen Twyman's an absolute steal and very on brand pick for the Vikings.
Yeah, I like it. And it's not my favorite draft or anything. I really
Mm.
don't like the idea of taking Mond. I thought that was a stupid pick for them.
I think
Uh,
Twyman reminds me a lot of like Sheldon Richardson, so that's why I say it's an on-brand pick.
uh,
I would say this is probably a B minus.
I'll give it a C. I mean, it's fine. It's okay.
They got their starting left tackle, linebacker depth, edge depth, off starting left guard most likely, backup quarterback, whatever. Could probably have gotten a backup quarterback in the 7th round, but I digress. Jamie
Patriots.
Jamie Newman was available in the 7th round.
Well, the Patriots need to take him because they took Michael Jones.
Good old Michael McCorkle. I don't like Mac Jones, but it's a very on-brand pick for the Patriots. And
You know what else
if
is also on brand for the Patriots? Not taking a wide receiver until the 7th round. Keep going.
Mac Jones, very on-brand pick for the Patriots. He is not a fan of him, but now that he's on the Patriots, he's the next Tom Brady. So very cool. Going to be a living hell in the NFL for 20 years now. Can't. He has a. People made fun of his pictures without a shirt, just like they did with Tom Brady. Time for him to start a vegan diet plan and win 7 Super Bowls. Sad. Christian Barmore with a really good trade up, a very on-brand pick, picking another Alabama player. Got their defensive line pick that they desperately need because they're losing a lot of talent. I think Barmore's gonna be a day one starter. Um, Ronnie Perkins, don't know much about honestly. I think he's a pretty good player. He got suspended for some reason.
Projected top 50 guy in the class.
Interesting. I heard he got suspended. He failed a drug test.
Ah,
Probably weed, to be honest with
yep,
you. In that case, I'm not really concerned.
yep.
Um, Ramondre Stevenson, I was kind of confused about. I thought their running back
It's
room was probably their best.
so you have to consider he's not a running back, he's a fullback.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
Okay, well in that
He's the best
case,
fullback in the class.
interesting.
Very on brand Patriots pick.
Well then, yes. Cam McGrone, another on-brand Patriots pick for picking a linebacker from Michigan. Joshua Bledsoe, I've heard good things about. Will Sherman, I don't know anything about. And Trey Nixon's an automatic F because Matt Patricia announced the pick.
And it was a wide receiver in the 7th round when wide receiver was like their biggest need going on.
Oh, any guesses what color of skin Trey Nixon is?
No comment because I don't want to talk about that on the channel.
He's a small white receiver.
Cool. So overall, for me, I'm gonna say C minus. I would have
Uh,
preferred they taken a wide receiver at 38 instead of Armore.
I'll give it a C. Just because sad.
They
They took
who
their
did they take a corner?
no.
Nope, they didn't take a corner either, so they didn't fill any needs other than quarterback. Rip. Or linebacker either.
Sad.
On brand. Saints. I was talking
This
about trading up for a long time. In the top
and
10 for a
then they
quarterback.
never did.
Couldn't put the value together.
No, they would have had to given up like 3 first-round picks, move up to 8 or 7 or whatever we picked at. I'm too tired.
We picked at 7. Yep.
Peyton Turner was like a top
Reach.
100 player, picked at 28. Pete Warner's a good player. Paulson Adebo's a good player. Ian Book should have been touched nowhere before round 6. He's basically Taysom Hill, and they already have Taysom Hill on the roster. Landon Young's a fine player. I have no idea who Kwan Baker is. This is a very mediocre draft. I give it a D plus because I like Pete Warner.
Okay, I'll give it a C minus. I think Peyton Turner's a top 50, 75-ish guy. Warner's another top 75-ish guy. Devo's probably top 100-ish guy. Basically, I think they reached by about like 25 picks on each guy, which is fine, but obviously not ideal. And you can't afford to do it due to the Saints. They have Sean Payton. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Next team is the New York Giants, who traded back for the first time ever.
Should
Literally.
have. Literally Dave Gettleman's first time ever trading back.
In like what, 25 years as GM? 20 years as GM?
Uh,
Something like that, because
long time.
he was the Panthers GM when they were expansion team, I think, in 90, whatever it was.
He has been a GM for 7 years, 8 years.
That's it?
He became the Panthers general manager in 2013.
Sad. I thought he was the GM a lot longer than
He
that.
was a director of
Oh, that was
Pearson.
Hurney. I got him confused with Marty Hurney. Unfortunate. Carry on.
Sad. Anyways, but this was a very good pick. They got a bunch of, well, they traded down with the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they got a first round pick next year.
And
So
they got one of the
that's
best players in the class.
automatic dub. Kadarius Toney's a very good football player who basically makes Sterling Shepard expendable. So they'll let him go. Get that third or fourth round comp pick.
Oh, you're talking next year.
Yes,
Okay.
or they can trade him. Uh,
Ojulari, another pretty good pick up there at 50.
Ojulari fell due to medicals, but he's a really good player. Aaron Robinson's a good player. Ellerson G. Smith, I have no idea who he is. Gary Brightwell, same. Rodarius Williams, an Oklahoma State corner, gives Chris Nom flashbacks. Plus, he's Greedy Williams' brother or cousin or something.
On brand that he would go to Oklahoma State.
But yeah, all in all, I think this is actually a really good draft, including the fact that they got a first round pick next year. I'll give this an A, just because they got a first round pick next year and they got a bunch of good value.
Yeah, I'll go A minus or B plus. I like their first 3 picks, and again, that extra first in the trade back for sure is definitely a great move by Mr. KG there. It'd be interesting to see how much they improve internally, though. That's a team that could have easily competed for a division title in that absolutely trash division.
Yeah, they're
I'm
my
not,
pick to win the division this year.
I'm not too sure if the draft that they had puts them over the top. So
I
we'll
don't know.
see.
I think another year
Yep.
with Joe Judge having his guys. I think they'll come. I think they're better than the Eagles by far. I think the Eagles suck. I hope they,
when
I
the
hope they have a
when the
painfully mediocre season where they miss out on the playoffs, but also don't pick top 10.
when the Eagles traded up, I made a joke in the Discord chat about how they should have traded up for Justin Fields.
Probably should have much better than Jalen Hurts.
That's what I was saying.
Jets, 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 Jets. Very tired. Um, they picked Michael Carter twice. In fact, day 3 took so damn long that Michael Carter had a kid, and then the Jets drafted him. But anyways, Zach Wilson, a very good football player, fully deserves the second overall pick. I didn't agree with the Jets trading up for guard, but that's okay. Whatever.
Vikings were going to take him. He's the best guard in the class. Pretty
Surra-
easy.
Surround your new rookie quarterback with more talent. Fine.
Competent blocking.
Yes. Elijah Moore. Not personally a fan, but I can see why some people like him, and so I'm not gonna really fault that pick too much. Michael Carter, a very good value pick. I thought he was the top 4 running back in the class, and they didn't move up for him. They took him day 3. I thought that was an elite pick. Jamien Sherwood, know nothing about. Michael Carter II, know nothing about. Jason Pinnock, know nothing about. Hamza Nasruddin is a really good value pick. And the last 2 guys I know nothing about.
That pick was straight 4 times. Jeez.
Gee willikers. I'll give this a solid B. I thought this was a pretty good draft, but I don't think it was like an elite draft.
Yeah, I'll go B+. I like their first couple picks there and the move to solidify Vera Tucker. Get him next to Mekhi Becton will really solidify their offensive line for the long term.
Yeah, and they got their franchise quarterback, who's actually a legitimately really good player.
Yep. Philadelphia Eagles trading up with a divisional rival, giving up a 3rd round pick to move up literally one other spot, one other team. In the most Howie Roseman on-brand move of all time to draft a wide receiver in the 1st round.
At least he's better than Jalen Reagor. Throwback to when the Vikings were laughing in the war room because they took Reagor over Jefferson.
Rigger was a really tough eval for me though, because that quarterback
Yeah,
situation was just annihilate. Oh my god.
that was the worst tape I've ever
I
watched
nearly
for
threw
anyone.
I nearly threw my phone at the wall at the barber when I was watching his tape.
I legitimately threw my phone at my bed frame. I had like a loft bed, and well, I sold it, but I had a loft bed, and I had like my desk under it, and I was watching Rager tape, and I threw my phone at my bed frame when I saw some of those throws. Anyways, Devonta Smith, very good pick. They didn't give up too much to trade up for him.
3rd round didn't have one team.
I don't blame them really though. Devonta Smith was an elite receiver. I can't fault them for giving up a 3rd to do that. Landon Dickerson, if the medicals check out, he's a really good player.
Even if they don't, I think they have Kelsey for another year unless he retired.
No, they have Kelsey for another year, so Dickerson can take that red shirt. Milton Williams, this was the funniest pick of the draft. Did you see the reaction in the war room?
I did not. The only war reaction I saw in real time was the Sewell one.
Oh, so this one was hilarious. Howie Roseman was jumping around celebrating, and everyone else was pissed off because they missed out on. I think they traded down 2 spots or something, and the guy that they wanted got picked right ahead of them, and
Oh, the
everyone
spot
was
that they hopped? Okay.
uh
So they wanted the guy that went 72nd.
pretty much.
That was our
Uh,
pick.
yeah, they wanted Liam.
They wanted, yeah, McNeil. Ha ha
Yeah,
ha.
they wanted Lee McNeil, and everyone was pissed off while Howie Roseman was jumping around. He went to high five, and everyone like grunted at him, and it was really hilarious. It was by far the funniest pick of the day. Zech McPherson, I've never heard of. Kenneth Gainwell is a good player. Typical Memphis running back. Um,
Marlon?
Marlon is a good player, good 6th-round pick. Same with Teron Jackson. He's a really good player. Jacoby Stevens, don't know much about. Patrick Johnson's a fine player. This draft was painfully average.
Yeah, I'm underwhelmed. I'll give it
I'll
like a
give it a C.
C minus or a D plus.
I'll give it a C. It's not a great draft, but it's not a horrid draft in my opinion.
Next up on the block is the Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh
Steelers.
Steelers.
Team that I heard pretty bad things about their draft class
Yes.
in terms of immediate reaction, which is pretty off-brand. Most of the time they end up getting a couple of decent players out of their classes.
They picked Najee Harris first round, which I'm not usually for picking running backs first round, but their running back situation was absolutely horrible. Anthony McFarland was the number one on the depth chart.
Well, and they have their rest of their defense in particular. Like, who are you going to take defensively in this year's draft? It's going to be an upgrade of anyone on your team.
Yeah.
Newsome,
It,
maybe, I guess.
this was also the most easy pick to predict almost. I had this one correct.
But, like, what other needs do they have?
Pat,
Linebacker, they have Devin Bush, they have Bud Dupree, they have TJ Watt. They
that's
run
edge though.
predominantly three linebacker sets, 3-3 aggressive front. Corner,
O-line,
so
they need
yeah, Greg
O-line
Newsome, I
really bad.
guess. What?
They need O-line bad. Anyways, they took Pat Freiermuth, who's a really good player, and
And in state.
Eric Ebron is not a good player. Is he still on the team?
Ebron? I'm not sure.
Eric
But,
Ebron, where?
but Firemouth is basically a better Jesse James.
Oh
But
yeah, he's still.
Jesse James for them was actually like really, really good Jesse James too. His contract year, he was actually really, really analytically good. He was like a
Yeah,
top 5 or 10 efficient tight end the year after he left them, or the year he did leave them.
yeah, yeah. Ebron's still on the team, but Freiermuth is gonna be a good. He's better than him. Kendrick Green, I know nothing about. Dan Moore Jr., don't know much about. Buddy Johnson, don't know much about. Isaiah Loudermilk, I've heard good things about. Quincy Roche is a really good player. Well, a good player. He's like a round 3 player. They got picked
At the end of
almost
the
in the
sixth.
7th round. Trey Norwood and Presley Harvin don't know much about. I
Harvin's
mean,
best punter in the draft.
is he? That's
Yeah.
good for him. They got their punter. Uh, this draft was pretty underwhelming to me.
I'll go with the C minus. I like the combination of Najee, Firemouth, Green,
I'll give it a D plus.
Roche. They added some key pieces in key spots. Almost coming to the end here. We got looks like 5 teams left. San Francisco. Of course, traded up to number 3, secured their quarterback of the future in Trey Lance.
That was a major job based on the fact that it wasn't Mac Jones, but I don't think they were ever even thinking about Mac Jones. I think it was between Lance and Fields, is what I'm hearing. And so in that case, Shanahan and Lynch big brained us all.
Which is
For
on brand for
whatever
them, to be
reason,
honest.
they decided to just mess with our heads, even though
Neither one of them was
Lawrence
going top
and
2.
Wilson were locked in at pick 1 and 2.
Yep.
So basically, I think they did it to screw with other teams' plans and mess with them.
Possible. Or the media.
Yeah, they just wanted to mess with someone or everyone. But yeah, Lance was a good pick. Aaron Banks was a bit of a reach. I mean, he's a fine player, but reach. Trey Sermon was a pretty decent sized reach. I mean, very off-brand pick. He's quite a doesn't really seem like your typical San Francisco running back. Ambry Thomas was a bit of a reach. Jalon Moore, I don't know much about. Diamador Lenora is a really good pick. He's a good player. Talanoa Hufanga is a good player. Elijah Mitchell's a good player. Go Raging Cajuns. And all in all, this was a mediocre draft, but it gets bumped up because they got their quarterback of the future and didn't take Mac Jones. I'll give it a C.
I like this class quite a bit more than you do. I have a B minus.
Interesting.
I thought they did what they needed to do, got the guys they needed to get. And the main reason why they're in the situation they are is because of their quarterback injury history and the division they play in.
Yeah.
And their defense was quite underwhelming at best at times. Next is Seattle. Seattle team not exactly known for their drafting in recent years, but they made some good picks over the Chargers there as well.
They, for once, didn't mess up their first round pick because they didn't have one. But they still messed it up because they traded 2 first round picks for Jamal Adams, who I'm not very high on compared to. Oh, I see. 3 draft picks. Dwayne Eskridge is a very on-brand pick for Seattle.
And then they signed Key Johnson as a UDFA too. It's
Pardon me?
also pretty on brand for them.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said they also signed Key Johnson as a UDFA too, which is also pretty on brand for them.
Oh. Yeah, apparently I accidentally pressed mute, so that's why I didn't hear you.
Ah.
Trey Brown, don't know much about. Stone Forsythe, I've heard good things about. Their UDFA class was really good. They picked a couple good receivers up. Not just Cade. They picked up another one. I can't remember what his name is. What's your name? Hold on, let me look it up. Tamorian Terry. And of course, Cade Johnson that you said. But they picked up some good receivers. So basically, the Seahawks pick, I'm gonna give a solid C plus.
I'm gonna go D minus. I hated that class. 3 picks and only one of them was even worth a roster spot.
Interesting.
That was probably the worst class in the league in my opinion, just based on their lack of volume, other than maybe Houston.
Mm.
And
So,
Houston wasn't really the fault of their current regime.
this is the Bucks. Joe
Yep, this is
Tryon
Tampa.
basically banking on upside, which they're allowed to do because they're the most loaded roster in the NFL right now. They just
And we
won the
got to
Super
watch some
Bowl.
Washington tape. Their defense is very, very different than the vast majority of them.
Yeah. Kyle Trask, they got their backup quarterback. Maybe the QB of the future. I don't know. We'll see. Daniel would like to think so. Robert Hainsey's a good player. Jalen Darden's an on-brand pick.
He's pretty good. I heard some good things about him too.
Yeah,
He
he's a
was the
good
guy
player.
that we were talking about, at least in the fan circles of taken.
Yeah. KJ Britt's decent. Don't know much about Chris Wilcox.
Oh,
This draft isn't great, but it's not horrible either. Oh, and they got Mr. Irrelevant. I heard he's a good football character guy. Nothing much about him. That's really terrific.
So overall grade for them?
Um, I'll give it a C.
I'll go C minus.
Okay.
So on behalf of Daniel, I'll bump that up to a C plus.
Yeah.
Because yeah, Kyle Trask.
Incoming A plus grade from Daniel.
Okay, another Patriots game. General manager here. Tennessee Titans. I ended up taking Caleb Farley with their first round pick.
That's a good value pick. Hopefully his medicals check out and he'll be good to go. Definitely a good Adoree replacement. I think that's going to be a home run pick if he can stay healthy.
Oh yeah, I really like that
Dylan
class.
Radins is a good player. I think they got their Isaiah Wilson replacement, which was by far the worst pick of last year.
Last year, oh my god.
That was something. Monty Rice, that's a good pick. Elijah Molden, very good pick. Des Fitzpatrick, good pick. Rashad Weaver, very good pick.
Oh, it's still loading. There's quite a bit more here.
Racy McGrath, I don't know much about. Brady
McMath.
Breeze, a very good pick. This is a really good draft from Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to give this an A.
So
Maybe A minus.
I like the A. I'll stick with that. Especially if
Okay.
Farley is healthy
Yeah,
for them by the end of the year.
I'm going to give it A minus just because there's quite a bit of risk involved there. But it's a good pick. It's going to be a steal of the draft if he stays on the field.
Yep, 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 yep. And then one more here in the Washington whatever's.
Football team.
The division winners like 7-9, who almost beat the Super Bowl champions.
I
Without a
love football
quarterback.
team. Jamin Davis, high upside player. I didn't actually watch him,
Oh, I
but I
haven't
heard
watched
good
him.
things about him. On
He was one of
brand.
my 5 highest grades, like talent grades in the class.
Sam Cosmi, good pick, very good pick. Benjamin St. Just, no idea
He's
anything
a
about him.
former Michigan transfer. He's actually really, really freaking good. Uh,
Interesting.
I really like him. He had a crazy good Senior Bowl too.
Neat. De'Ami Brown's a very good pick. John Bates, don't know much about. Derek Forrest, same thing. Cameron
Cheese
Cheese,
man.
why he's not on the Packers is beyond me. Uh, Bradley King, don't know much about. Shaka Tony is a very, very good value pick. And Dax Milne, I'm a big fan of. I thought he was really good on tape when I watched Zach Wilson. And I was surprised the Patriots didn't select him.
So overall thoughts on Washington?
I would say this is a pretty good draft. I'll give it like a C plus.
Yeah, I'm pretty on board with that as well. I'll give it like a B minus.
Okie doke.
I like the top 4 picks. Their first 2 days they knocked out of the park. So uh, Jim and Cosme, St. Just, and Yami are all really, really, really good picks. And Shaq Tony's their upside guy on day 3 that they'll kind of rely
I
on for
thought
the
he
edge
was
too.
gonna go day 2, so that's a good pick in this like the 7th round.
Yeah, he'll be their extra day 3 value pick. So
Yeah.
definitely
He's
not opposed to the draft at all either. Pretty good start to Martin Mayhew's career. It's pretty odd Martin Mayhew drafted. We want to be real with it.
uh-huh.
So yeah, any particular teams that stand out to you that you really really like about the rest? Haven't gone through all of them.
Cleveland, I like a lot. Detroit, I like a lot, of course. Um, I'm just trying to think. Chicago's was pretty good. Um, I'm just trying to think now. I don't know. There's probably a few I'm missing, but how about you?
Uh, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I mean this year more than ever before was kind of based more off of actual football evaluation,
hmm
with less exposure in interviews, less medical information. less character evals, less all the extra stuff that teams know about that we don't.
Mhm.
So a lot more of these teams were more so hitting on their top 3 round picks. It feels like a very good portion of these teams like, oh yeah, I like their first 3 rounds, but after that it's kind of like lottery ticket toss up guys.
Mhm.
Uh, I feel like that was probably 20 or 25 of the 32 teams that we talked, 31, excluding Detroit, teams that we talked about were like, yeah, I like the first, second, and 3 round picks, but after that, I don't really know.
Yeah.
So overall, I feel like most teams outside of really 3 or 4 did a pretty nice job of doing what they had to do to improve their teams this week. Seattle and Houston probably being the main two. I don't really think changed the complexion of themselves really all that much.
Yeah. I think Dallas was the worst draft.
I don't know if
That
Dallas
was
is better than the other two I just named. So they
yeah.
at least added some pieces that will be
Fair enough.
respectable for them. Multiple starters. But I do think that of all the picks that really went in round one, I think that this is kind of going to be a little bit of a sleeper pick. What the impact, the player that's going to have the biggest, okay, the 2 players that are going to have the biggest impacts on their team, and this isn't necessarily saying like offensive rookie, defensive rookie of the year, but like best offensive player, best defensive player that's going to improve their teams the most, are Rashawn Slater and J.C. Horn.
Yeah.
I think those are the 2 rookies I'm going to be most excited to watch on their new teams this year. Slater is going to be absolutely huge for the Chargers. New regime there and taking over for Anthony Lynn. Because the offensive line was by far their biggest need, by far their biggest need. He was my top offensive lineman in the class. They got him at 13 without having to trade out. Oh, yeah. So that was a fantastic pick. And then J.C. Horn going to Carolina is just going to be very, very fun to see what he's able to do and what he accomplishes there his first year. Really culture changing pick for them on the defensive side of the ball. Him and
Mhm.
Uh, Derek Brown leading that pass rush with Brian Burns and J.C. Horn and Jeremy Chin leading the coverage unit. That's an excellent 4-man core for them on the defensive side with Rulli in the offense. So those are the 2 guys out of the entire draft I think are the A plus picks, given the team's needs, the team situations, where the teams are at, and uh, and the best player available at the time of their pick.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts for you? Any other specific players that stood out to you, guys that you're really most excited to watch?
Excluding the quarterbacks, I think the quarterbacks are going to be the biggest. Obviously, the biggest impact on their teams.
I'm not necessarily sure though. I don't think that the Jets are going to automatically be AFC East contender over Miami or even New England at this point because they took Wilson.
Are
And I don't think
obviously
that the Jags are going to
Buffalo.
beat a team like the Colts or Titans because they took Lawrence this year. San Francisco maybe will trade Lance, I guess, but even then they still have to get past Seattle and
Well,
Arizona and
well, I think biggest impact in the fact that it changes the franchise. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to directly impact the Jaguars and
well,
their
yeah, long
season.
term, but I don't think 2021 they're all of a sudden going to be a playoff team because they took Trevor. I think they're going to be a top 10 picking team next year.
Okay, well then, obviously you mentioned Slater. I think Farley on the Titans if he's healthy.
Okay.
I like that a lot. I think he's automatically going to be a starting corner if he's healthy. Um, just trying to think here.
Offensive
Um,
player?
I'm just blanking very heavily on the draft. I'm just pulling up some of the picks.
Preferably a first rounder.
Oh yeah. Um,
Jalen Waddle would be interesting. That'd be a pretty good pick.
Jalen Waddle is going to be huge. I think Kadarius. Actually, no, not really. He's not going to get. I think Najee Harris is going to be very, very impactful. I think Rashad Bateman's going to be very
That's a
impactful.
good pick too. Yep.
I think Najee and Rashad are going to be really important to their teams. Uh, Hopefully, Lamar finally gets his receiver one. And the Steelers get their running game, their running back.
Yep.
Najee's a good player.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I thought about Najee myself as well, for sure. So there's definitely something to say about that. And yeah, I think that Slayer is going to be one of those guys who, for a new team with Brandon Staley coming in, is really going to up that offensive upside
Hmm.
and really kind of solidify Herbert and Eckler, and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and everything else is as a really foundational offensive base for them. So uh, I'm really excited to see what the Chargers do next year in year one of a Staley regime.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you have any other final thoughts on this show, chat, before we wrap this one up?
Nope. I think we're
Awesome.
good.
Well, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. This is a very long video, but it's because we went over basically the entire draft in the span of a couple hours. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this draft quite a bit. Definitely a lot of great players going to these teams, and going to be a lot of teams that really improved themselves over the weekend. So with that being said, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe and healthy and all that fun stuff. But for now, uh, peace out. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Peace out.